Today's show is brought to you by homebrewsupply.com. Homebrew Supply has your favorite recipes, clone kits, ingredients, and draft equipment in stock and shipping out same day on orders placed before 11 a.m. Central. Everyday low pricing plus everyday flat rate shipping means Homebrew Supply is your source for your homebrewing needs. Go to homebrewsupply.com and use the promo code HHH to receive 5% off your order. Some exclusions may apply. See store website for details.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question that you'd like discussed on a future episode, visit homebrewhappyhour.com and click on the Submit a Question link at the top of the page, or now you can call them or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stubing, and today I'm joined by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer, as usual, at kegconnection.com, Todd Burns.
Hello.
I was telling before we started recording, I noticed James' shirt, and the way this thing cuts off, you can't really see. I have to stand up a little. You can see I'm wearing my Homebrew Happy Hour shirt. James is proudly, go ahead and talk so it'll.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, see, oh, I love that. Only time I can ask you to do a chest shot on a webcam, and it's not awkward. And then, go ahead, Todd. Todd, you have to talk for the camera to go to you.
Oh, I have to talk. Yeah,
Oh, God.
I'm wearing my libertarian shirt. We're just about to win the next election. I can feel it.
Yeah, that's exactly what Todd told me. Was like, I was complimenting James. I said, nice shirt. And Todd thought I was talking to him for some odd reason. And it says, oh, yeah, we're going to win the next one. Yeah, I love it. You're doing more than I am. But anyway, welcome back, friends. This is the post-Thanksgiving episode of Homebrew Happy Hour. Even though last week's published on Thanksgiving night, we actually recorded that, I think last Tuesday, right, guys? Or is it
Yeah, I think that's right.
And how was y'all's Thanksgiving? Let's start off there.
It was good.
Oh, mine was great. Had a great Thanksgiving with the family, and then 4 wonderful days of Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. So,
Oh, yeah, it was a good time. Good time.
yeah.
I know I'm fortunate that I'm here away from headquarters because I heard how crazy busy. Todd,
We're going to fix that next year. I've already made a decision.
did you? You made an
Yeah, we
executive.
need our marketing guy on, actually on site next year, for sure.
Yeah.
You made an executive
We need a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to go into too many details, but I'll just say it was an obscene amount of orders. And this is the part of the show, Todd, where you thank the people who have kept us in business.
Yes. Thank you very much. I noticed at the beginning of the show for homebrewsupply.com, you said that we had 1 day shipping if you order by 11, I believe.
Right.
We should probably mention on both Keg Connection and Homebrew Supply that does not apply to Cyber Monday, Black Friday. But I was absolutely amazed at how quickly and how many packages we got out over those 4 days. But for the most part, we did get them out the same day, the next day. So we had a few ingredient orders that where we just started to run out of grain, and we had already ordered some extra grain because we were worried about it. So we were able to get them out, I think, Tuesday. But anyway, it was quite a week.
It is crazy to me how well you can plan in regards to grain or products, and then that doesn't help when you're overwhelmed with orders. It was like I said already, it was an obscene amount of orders. It was a good.
Yeah, we did not run out of anything until Monday, and then on Monday it was the only major thing I know of was one of the grains. I don't remember which one now. I think it was the Pilsen. Do you remember?
Yeah, the Pilsen was low. I believe it was the Pilsen. And then also, if you remember, we ran out of the 3/8 high heat hose for the mash kits.
Okay, yeah.
And those things sold really well.
They did.
Oh yes, the new cooler brew all grain systems. The when I mean new, I mean they were not even on the site for 24 hours before Black Friday, I believe, right? I mean, they were.
I was on the phone screaming and pleading with vendors to get the last part in, and they showed up literally. They showed up Wednesday evening, or no, maybe it was even Friday morning. Anyway, I mean, just in time to start putting them out for Black Friday. So
I think that it's cool how well it blew all my expectations out of the water, specifically how those sold. And I guess that's indicative of how many people are ready to jump into the all grain brewing scene. I mean, I'm just using context clues, but wouldn't you agree that the more because cooler brewing, not just the brand of the system, but using cooler style, those Gatorade looking igloo style coolers to brew is, like we've talked about on, I think, last week's episode. It is a very traditional route to take from extract to all grain, right, James?
That's correct. I mean, I think that we had all agreed that that's the best way to transition into all grain because it forces you to learn the basics of mashing as far as strike temp and batch sparging and all that good stuff. So, yeah, it's a good way to get started, and it's a real reasonable setup. So, if I wish they'd had something like this when I started all grain, I had to build mine, but and it was considerably more money than what you could spend on that. Setup.
Yeah, particularly for the 10 gallon, because ours is a 10-gallon. Was yours a 10 or was it a 5?
It was just a 5.
Yeah, it's not too hard to build a 5, but a 10's. Yeah, the coolers and everything are expensive. I mean,
they are. Yeah, definitely.
It's a good deal, and we should probably mention. I think one of our questions today, we may go into that, but we should mention that we're working on a video right now that's going to have some animation. And I think it'll really help people understand fly sparging, batch sparging, and some of those types of things that they can be difficult to explain. But when you have an animated video, Josh, I think that'll really help a lot.
Yeah, you took it right out of my mouth. I was about to just say because we like to not only obviously on the retail side, it's fun and all that when you do a lot of sales, but the practical part of us too, and especially from the podcast angle, people get equipment and sometimes are still overwhelmed, especially when they're on their own. We have the internet. I always say 2018 is the best year ever to be a home brewer because of the resources available, but it can still be kind of overwhelming reading walls of text and forums or whatnot. So we like to, as quickly as possible, like Todd just produced we just produced that video with Todd on the kettles, and that has been well received. People appreciate just, thanks for explaining what this does, why I want this in it. Same with James, your video on the all-in-one electric all-grain systems, like the mash and boil, the grandfather. That one has been very well received. People, and obviously people have their own feedback too. Apparently there's a new mash and boil that just came out I didn't know about that does have recirculation. Yeah,
I did not know that either.
Yeah, apparently it is coming out. I don't know what to believe on YouTube anymore with comments. Yeah. all I ever see are the ones that make fun of the way I look. But anyway, I wasn't in that video for that reason.
I sent both of y'all a link, and you really, really made fun of my text that morning because I sent it like at 6 a.m. Well, that was about the mash and boil, I believe.
No. The Robo Brew.
Oh, the Robo Brew. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But one of the things that really caught my eye on that I'd never thought about is you can program it to start up to 23 hours ahead of time. So you could get all your water and everything ready, go to bed, and then have it start up before you wake up so that you're ready to brew when you wake up. Or when you get home from work, at 4:30, it's just hitting the right temperature so you can start brewing. Did you know that, James?
Oh yeah, I actually got to looking at that a little deeper, and how cool is that? Because sometimes the biggest wait is waiting for it to warm up. So
that's always our biggest wait, right?
Absolutely. So if I had one, I would probably program it like a coffee pot in the morning to come on.
Again, take the words out of my mouth. I was about to say that's like my Mr. Coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it. But yeah,
so we don't really need you, I guess. We're well, moderation. We need moderation.
Someone has to guide the conversation, like
it's the comic relief, right?
In like an office space. I'm a people person, damn it. Jump to conclusions. Let's go ahead. Let's move forward a little bit. But yeah, no, talk about the video. Yes, we have a video coming out. I'm going to be up there producing a video this coming Monday, and we should have it by Friday, assuming if the animated parts aren't done, no big deal. We'll collaborate, or pardon me, we'll composite the whole video when those are done. But we're going to shoot the live action.
He said they would be done. We'll see.
He doesn't listen to the show. He doesn't listen to the show, so that's why I'm not throwing him under the bus too hard.
But he has a pretty good track record. So usually, if he says it's done, it'll get done.
Yeah, it's not like me telling Todd something. I mean, this guy.
It probably doesn't help on Monday that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about the fly sparge part of that. We're going to need to have that.
I'm excited because it is, like you said, I genuinely am happy when we can provide a resource to people that helps explain it. And because I know for me, it's not just a shtick, guys. I'm not very bright. And when I have questions, I like visuals more. I can read a wall of text on my phone in a forum all day, but when I see a video breaking it down, that's how I can fix my toilets or
but I think you're not any different than 99% of the people out there.
Thank you. Well, my mom.
I can vouch for him not being that smart.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years. Yeah.
My mom says I'm special, though. But anyway, let's move on. I have questions for today's show. Question number 1. It's our first voicemail that I've brought into the show from Marty, who used our number at 325-305-6107. And let's take a listen.
Hey, Josh, and I guess the other two. Hey, this is Marty from Omaha. And I was just in Austin a week ago, and I had a phenolic Band-Aid beer at one of the establishments down there. And I just wanted to hear your take on the etiquette of how to approach a bad beer to the bar owner. And I went ahead and said that there was something wrong with it and they should talk to the distributor. But I felt a little bit snobbish about that. So I'd love to hear your comments on the etiquette of that. Thanks.
So, Marty,
he should have called you for a beer.
Yeah, exactly.
No kidding. He should, Instagram or texted me or people now who are listening even found me on Facebook, which I'm okay with. It's add me at your own risk if you want to hear a bunch of poor poop jokes and see pictures of my kids. But besides that, Marty, I don't know if you know, but phenol is actually something in Austin. It's kind of the new thing now. You know, the East Coast had its hazy IPA.
Oh,
and no, I'm kidding. James, let's start here. Phenolic or phenol.
The Band-Aid plastic. You know what? Here's my take on that. He did not do anything wrong. I think he did exactly what I would have done. You got to remember at the end of the day, you bought that product. And if that product is subpar, they probably didn't know about it. I would like to think they didn't know about it. So he did the right thing. They're probably very appreciative that they were told about that.
And
there's a lot of beers on the market these days. There's so many good beers. And if your beer has a problem like that, you definitely want to know about it.
Yeah,
sure.
And I brought this question too because Todd Burns is no stranger to making things awkward wherever he is. But specifically for this question, I've been with Todd at bars where he sent the beer back because the glass was too cold. I've been with Todd when he has questioned.
Not true.
Oh, when we were in.
Yeah. When they poured the below freezing beer into the frozen glass, you're right. I'd stand corrected. I did.
You had an ice cube.
I was gonna say
the whole top turned into ice.
I was gonna say though, it happened. I was with you. It was that Louisiana style kitchen place, and they served it, and you said, do you have like a room temperature glass? And the girl looked at you kind of funny, like, why would you want that? You're like, because I want to taste the beer.
I don't think I actually sent it back. I just said, I'm going to leave this over here for an hour. If you could bring me a warmer beer that I could drink while I'm getting to that one, while that one unfreezes.
And though I know that I've also been with you, and granted, we all did the same thing whenever we were served a beer and we questioned if it was actually the beer we had ordered because it did not taste like the style we had ordered. I know y'all remember that.
I remember that day.
Yeah. Yes. But Todd, I like James said, I want to reiterate, I don't think first off, when you pay for a product, and he's fortunate that he knows that was an off taste, right? There's a lot of people, I imagine, who have had pours from that same keg at that same bar who just thought it was a bad beer. You've got to tell, I would say because in Texas we're in that 3-tier system, so because he wasn't at the brewery that brewed it, he said he was at a bar, you know,
Right.
and he mentioned the distributor. You know, I would even email, if you can find it, the brewmaster of the brewery just to let them know your experience. Hey, I was at this bar and your beer, whatever the beer it was, had this off flavor. Wanted to give you a heads up. Not sure if it was because of improper storage or if you had a bad batch. But I think the quality assurance team of a brewery would appreciate that kind of follow-up. Don't y'all think?
Oh, absolutely.
I actually have an interesting story about this. So I was in a brewery one time in New York, and I got to meet the head brewer, and we were enjoying some beers, and one of their beers is a brown, and I had the brown beer, and I went up to the brewmaster. I said, "Man, this is great. I've always loved this beer." So the funniest thing though, for a while in Texas, we bought it, and it just did not taste right. It was not good, and I'm kind of unhappy with it. And now it tastes great again. I don't know what happened. And he literally like put his head down. He went, "Oh my gosh, yeah, the Texas brown." He goes, "We actually had somebody brew a batch for us there, and it was like 1,000,000 gallons of beer." I may be exaggerating. But that's what I remember him saying. I don't know how many barrels that is, but he said that they bottled it, and then we're continuing to bottle it, and then realized what was going on when they started getting complaints. And he says they poured out like one of these enormous brewing vessels. They poured the entire thing out and started over again.
Oh my gosh.
I guess, on the next batch, once they determined they had a problem. So I casually mentioned it to him, thinking he's probably going to be like, "Oh God, this guy." And it turns out they really did. I mean, they didn't know about it until somebody told them. So yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, you do got to bring it up. And I know, James, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't do a Google search, but phenol, it also can produce, I mean, it's natural. First off, it is to some degree present in every beer.
It is, but it's more present when you ferment at higher temperatures. It can tend to do that. And then also sometimes you can get bacteria contaminate beer, can cause those flavors to come out more pronounced. But for the most part, really warm fermentation can cause that.
And I wanted to ask Marty if it wasn't a wheat beer or if it was a Hefeweizen or something, because I know I've been told before that cloviness that you get from a traditional wheat beer is also a byproduct of a lot of not a lot, but of the phenol being present.
Sure, and the yeast produces that.
Right, totally. So would you say? I mean, I guess let me start over. If you think that the beer you're having is not tasting how it should, you should always just let them know. I think that's a good policy.
Yeah, definitely. You're paying for that beer. You should get the product. You know, definitely not a contaminated or fault.
And I appreciate him though saying that he felt like a snob, and only because I think we all have those moments of when we're trying to share beer with loved ones or friends or family, or we're out in public and we're drinking craft beer. And I mean, I stopped worrying about it now, because if people think I know what I'm talking about, I just run with it. I don't care if they think I'm a snob or not. But you know, we do inherently as people have pride and ego issues where we are worried that, oh, I'm going to say something. And, you know, especially if my wife's around and I have any issue with something, no, don't say anything. No, that's embarrassing. But I would say, again, just to reiterate, you calling or bringing to light issues with the product is only a good thing. It can never be a bad thing. It'd be one thing if you're like, you know, I happen to, you know, I mean, I don't even know how you could come across as a snob unless you were critiquing the beer.
I would say this: if the gentleman he complained to took offense to it, then that's probably not a place you'd want to visit.
You go.
That's constructive criticism, and anybody taking it any other way, you probably don't want to come back.
Perfect. And I, with my own beers, I love criticism, guys. I can tell you that. No,
no problem. We're willing to help.
Todd is the master at providing criticism, constructive in air quotes here, constructive criticism. Hey, James, did you overcarb this again or whatever? I'm trying to.
Hey, I have to give kudos to James though. The beer that I'm drinking right now in my kegerator, which is almost gone. I don't know if there'll be any left Monday when you get here.
He hasn't tried it, has he?
Oh my God. Yeah, he did try it before we left.
Oh yeah.
Prague,
Yeah.
that Prague dark lager or Czech dark lager. Oh,
Yeah.
Honestly,
so
Jay,
good.
it's a masterpiece, man.
It's a creamy. You know what? I poured one yesterday when I got home, and I noticed how, man, it puts off a really nice head of foam on the top.
I poured a third of one last night, and I reached down and felt the keg, and I went, "Wow, I better not pour a whole beer because I want Keith to try it." I've got a visitor coming in this weekend, so I want him to try it.
Oh
well, it's a shame we don't have anything else for you to have out there. I know the Pilsner that I have in the conical right now, it's not ready.
Yeah, my head brewer's been
slacking off,
he running off out of the country.
Hey, we are going to do a huge batch of Kolsch tomorrow. So
good. I like hearing that.
Too. Yeah,
we had a delicious Kolsch, your recipe at Thanksgiving, and we have a whole 4-point-something gallons left at my pop's place. So I've been enjoying a lot of Kolsch lately, which I don't think I can enjoy enough, honestly. But I don't want Kolsch and alt to turn into my founder's breakfast stout with Todd, where he just gets tired of me talking about it. But I do have founders in my kegerator. Anyway, moving on.
You bought a whole keg of it?
No. In my kegerator is my beer fridge as well. No. I have I think I still have 6 left of breakfast stout over there.
It is good stuff.
It is
good stuff.
It's so good.
I have some in mine too. So when you come visit on Monday, if I don't have any keg beer, I guess I can let you have the beer that we cannot no longer mention on the show.
Yeah, beer who shall not be named. Marty, thank you so much for submitting the question. Moving on to the last question of the day from Mike, who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Mike writes, "Hello, Homebrew Happy Hour. I love your podcast, and after I discovered it in September, I plowed through all 102 episodes inside of a month and learned so much. I recently decided to get into homebrewing, and my buddy recommended I get an 8 to 10 gallon kettle. I decided to go big and bought a 15-gallon spike kettle. However, I have bought 2 extract recipes, and I now realize I'm only boiling 2 to 3 gallons for these. Do you think it's too difficult for me to use the 15-gallon kettle for an extract kit, or should I get a 5 to 8-gallon kettle to learn on and save the 15-gallon kettle for when I switch to all grain later in the future? Thanks. Love the show." Wonderful question, because me and my dad are almost in the same boat, and I know you guys have already discussed an answer. So, Todd, I'll let you lead this out first.
Sure. We have these cooler brew systems now, and they're 10-gallon, but boy, a 15-gallon kettle would work really well with those. It would be an extremely easy way to get into all grain brewing. I know you want to make the jump. Maybe that would be a good way to make the jump. I definitely think that if you are only going to be boiling 2 or 3 gallons, it would probably make sense to have a smaller pot. And another possibility, if you're not quite ready to make the jump into all grain, brew a bigger extract batch.
Actually, that's a great idea. Just brew a bigger batch of beer for the.
Yeah. It's the same amount of work. Why not brew 10 or 15-gallon extract batch?
Well, and James, answer me this: if he still wants to just do 5-gallon batches, can he not increase his volume earlier in the brew day process? Can he, or should he stick to the recipes when it does tell you, do 3 point whatever gallons right now? Like, could he add the volume at the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. You could do a full batch boil on that because you now have the space. Generally, what happens with extract is you want to go cheap with the kit. I know in my case, I got a 2.5-3 gallon pot because it was $20 or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
But now that he's got a 15-gallon pot, he can do a full 5-gallon batch. Yeah, no problem. It's just you always got to think about cooling it down. 10. Yeah, Todd's got a good idea, but you got to remember you got to cool it down too. So as long as you've got a big bucket of ice that you can set it in, or if you've got a recirculation cooler or anything like that. That would be the one thing I would tell him. Just make sure you've got a good idea how to cool it down quick.
Yeah.
That's going to be the Achilles heel, is cooling down. Where does he live? You don't know where he lives, do you?
It doesn't say. If you want me to get personal, I could reply back, maybe ask him what his social security.
I mean, because I'd take the other 5 if he did decide to do it.
Exactly.
I get it. Todd is a wonderful receiver.
Yeah.
Me and my pop, so I had bought a Spike kettle, which again, shout out to Spike, Mike, good choice on them. Fantastic kettles. We have been nothing but impressed, but where I'm messed up, and for those who are only listening to audio, again, air quotes, I didn't really mess up because you can't go wrong with any quantity size of kettle when you're upgrading, especially a Spike kettle. But I got the 10-gallon with the 2 vertical couplers, one being the thermometer and the other being a 3-piece ball valve. Very premium, spared no expense. And we still do extract, and I realized until adding the volume at the beginning, even then, the thermometer is kind of useless right now until we do jump up to all grain, because our water volume just isn't getting up to that. You know, they have, as with most kettles, the place you put the thermometer, if you don't have it on the bottom, like Spike has kettles that have 2 horizontal couplers where your ball valve needs to be at the bottom, and then you put the thermometer down there. In hindsight, that's what I should have gotten, because it would have been a relevant kettle, or I could have made the thermometer relevant from doing extract batches now all the way up to when we start doing all grain next year.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you and your dad brew, and he has a kegerator and you have a kegerator. Why are y'all doing 5-gallon batches?
You know, again, we have been trying to make sure that we understand the brew day together, and doing extract 5-gallon has just been very straightforward. James' recipes are so ironclad. And again, I'm not even joking though. We want to make sure that we can produce decent tasting beer, and that's why we've also been trying all across the spectrum, all of James's recipes, the stouts, the IPAs. The only one we haven't done yet, we haven't done a California Common. We've done all the other true style, and then of the general spectrum of styles, we have not done a wheat beer yet because I don't like the style that much, and my dad hasn't pressed. And then really, I say that my pop. I just bring recipes home and tell them what we're brewing. So it's kind of my fault, whatever we're brewing or not brewing. But I wanted to make sure that we can brew a solid beer. But you're right. My resolution for 2019 is to brew bitter batches because we have the space. Or maybe possibly go to all grain.
You know, that might be something you and your dad would love to do.
Or kill 2 birds.
You have a whole lot more control over that operation. And if you want to scale it up, if you're all grain brewing, it's no big deal.
Absolutely. And that's what I plan on doing. And that's why I didn't beat myself up too much when I got the kettle and I realized, oh crap, I should have done the 2 horizontal couplers instead of the vertical, because I'm going to make it work, because we're going to increase batch sizes at some point, and we're going to go to all grain where that is definitely going to get put to use. Which also too, we're going to have a brew day video at some point in the future where I won't mess it up like we did last year, or I messed it up last year, using the cooler system though, because I do, again, I'm trying to take this romanticized walk journey of brewing to where, like, okay, we started I think the very first kit I ever brewed was with Todd, and it was a Cooper's can, and it came out delicious. Do you remember that, Todd? It was in your house back way back when you used to let me in your house.
I can't even remember that. I'm sure. I mean, it sounds like something we would have done.
We did. It was it was out of your kitchen.
Like 8 years ago, or
it was 9.5 years ago. Man.
9.5 years ago. Wow.
That's the very first batch I ever brewed. Had a blast, but it was Cooper's cans. They are what they are. They can produce solid beer. Not knocking them, but then you started doing partial mash, and so like with my dad, we never did we jumped right to partial mash, but I want us to do, because I think for me specifically, I can appreciate the craft of brewing better when I'm doing it in these steps. And talk to me in 3 years, and I might just have a grain father, or program it and be,
or a spike system. You never know.
Or a spike. No, the system y'all have can't be topped. Like I can just
no, we're going to top it. in my house.
We've
right?
already got the,
that's
definitely.
right. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
Todd doesn't know it, but I have a few of those pieces already.
I am so pumped, man, because James is building the controller. I love it.
Yeah, but Josh says you can't do as well. So we'll
I love.
In fact, we've already got as far as the controls on that main controller. I'm going to go a little bit different route, but I'm going to need Clay's help on it. So I think if we can make it all work, it's going to be super cool.
So I got a question. Can I ask a question too?
Of course, you pay the bills.
So I think it's not actually a question; it's more of a statement. What do y'all think about brewing an actual batch on Monday of next week using the coolers? So when we do the video, we can have we could actually be brewing with it.
Oh, I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
I'm not going to object to that. Absolutely. We should.
No, you kidding me?
Okay.
Awesome.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Would you want to do it there at the headquarters, or would you do it in your building? Do we need the space is what I'm getting at.
You know what? We could do it in the building, because then it would be super quiet and nobody would bother us. If y'all want to look at doing that.
That's a great idea.
You like how I snuck that in there, James? I'm pretty good.
Yeah, that's great. That's a perfect place to do that video in.
It would be. Yeah. I got to see what we would need, but I think we pretty much have everything.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think that'll be fun.
I put an RO system in this last weekend. So it's a small one, but we're only doing we'll do a 10-gallon batch, but that's all right. I'll start getting some water ready for it now.
Oh, man. Idea. Oh, that's the best way to end this show. Guys, Mike, thank you for submitting the question. I guess the gist being you have a lot of options. Keep using the 15 and let that encourage you to maybe brew in bigger batches, or just jump to all grain sooner, or do whatever you want. But the 15 is not, that kettle is not going to keep you from brewing what you want to brew.
Nope.
And guys, again, I'm now really looking forward to seeing y'all on Monday. Not that I'm never not looking forward to seeing you, Mr. Burns, on every other Monday, but I'm now really looking forward to coming up there. This is going to be fun, and we'll have a lot of good material coming out. So thank you guys for joining me on today's show.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, visit homebrewhappyhour.com and click on the Submit a Question link at the top of the page. Or now you can call them or text them in by using 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsor, homebrewsupply.com, for supporting our podcast and the homebrewing community. Go to homebrewsupply.com, use the promo code HHH, and you'll get 5% off your order. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.